Welcome to Cast and Crank Podcast. Today we have Chris Purcell from Swimbaitunderground. Chris comes on and kind of gives us a history of Swimbaitunderground and his involvement with it. He also brings in all the collaboration baits they've done with all the companies. Super cool. He breaks down each one. I was going to try to make a video for YouTube, but I screwed the video up again. I actually lost the main video, so I just had the little shots, which you saw on the Instagram portion of the video. Check them out. They got some pretty cool stuff coming out too, clothing. And Chris was a super cool interview, man. I had a lot of fun with him. And yeah, I have a quick read to do for Ambitious Ales. Haven't got that recorded yet, so here we go. Ambitious Ales is a microbrewery located in the beautiful community of Bixby Knolls in Long Beach, California. They serve classic beer styles with unique ingredients that are perfect for both the craft beer enthusiasts and those new to craft beer. Beer isn't your thing? This is still the spot for you. Ambitious Ales prides themselves in offering beers that even the non-beer drinker may enjoy. If you still can't find a beer you dig, then sip on some homemade cold brew coffee or the refreshing cold pop. The beer that I'm drinking right now is their IPA. I think it's like Clock Radio. I love that beer. It's really good. And the one my wife is drinking is Mangoes, I think. Both are great beers. Go check them out. They're located on 4019 Atlantic Avenue in Long Beach, California. It's also, if you got a dog, the tasting room is dog friendly and kid friendly, so it's kind of cool. You can bring your kids, have a couple beers. Thanks for listening to this episode. Fun time. The next one we're doing is going to be Phoenix rods, and we're going to do a giveaway on that one with an M1. I'll give more details this week. Catch you on the next one later.
The Bite Journal is our newest sponsor. If you like the rawness of Cast and Crank, its 132 pages are for you. The Bite Journal is all about blood, scales, and roots. Surprising subjects, long-form investigations of famous vessels and epic destinations, profiles of honored pioneers and respected young guns alike, and a half scoop of commercial fishing intel along the way. If it's legit, it fits. If it's trendy, poor value, won't be here next cycle, or irrelevant to your fishery, pass. Such rich waters deserve a vivid, authoritative publication of record, and the Bite has gladly accepted that challenge. Each edition features a raft of articles equivalent in page count to any 3 copies of a standard fishing periodical. The Bite isn't for everyone, but if you favor a limited load, high results experience, you just found your ride. Subscribe at thebitejournal.com, and if you are not following them on Instagram at _bite, BIGHT, you are blowing it.
So let's talk about how the whole thing with the big baits, how you got into that, because I know you've probably been fishing your whole life.
Yeah, been fishing most of my life. Yeah. But for me, it was always catching fish that didn't meet up to the standards that I was looking for. You know, for the longest time, my PB was like 6 and change.
For freshwater?
Freshwater, yeah,
okay.
Sorry. Largemouth bass. So it was in that 6-pound range. I was throwing drop shot. I would always find myself throwing the same sort of things. And really, it started for me looking to up my PB. So went online, found a different forum where you could buy, sell baits and like learn techniques, post your picks.
What was if you don't mind me asking, what was the first forum you kind of like researched on?
The first forum that I researched was Swimbait Nation.
Okay.
So the guys on Swimbait Nation had a great platform. I think it was probably the first any sort of swimbait specific website, and they did a great job. There were some things that kind of were stifling, I guess, or that would quiet down specific people in certain areas. So it just had a lot to do with is board sponsor driven. So everything was like this bait, that bait, but it was as long as they were on the page, that was the deal.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how Underground came about. The guys that founded Underground were looking for a space where they could talk about whatever they wanted to. Whether it was XYZ bait or any like rod, reel, whatever brand they wanted to talk about, they wanted to be able to do it at any time. Yeah. And not have sort of, a censor, if you will.
What year did Swimbaitunderground start?
2010, December 10th, 2010.
Oh, so okay. you kind of like found it when they kind of started.
Yeah, so I started on Nation in 08, 09, started big bait fishing around that time. And then 2010, toward the end of the year, the group of guys started the website, and a lot of the the key players, the big bait throwers that were at the time on Nation, started moving to Underground.
Who was the do you know who the original guys that started, their names, like who was part of Swimbait Underground? If they don't mind being mentioned. I mean,
yeah, I don't know that they all want to be mentioned.
Okay.
But some of the guys that you still see in today's big bait world, they were a part of it. Big names, and they're still prominent in the industry.
Okay.
They just opted to do something a little bit different with their time, rather than manage the forum.
Yeah,
because at the time that's all it was.
Yeah.
It was just a forum.
Yeah.
So with that being said, they kind of went their own ways, and Swimbait Underground continued. So it ended up being a couple of different guys with those two guys.
And the transition was about how long to change, who kind of helped run the website completely.
See, for me, I don't know the exact timing on how that transition went.
Okay.
I know my timeline. So if we start back from the beginning, started big baiting 08, 09, just looking for that next big PB, biggest fish. And I really dedicated myself to it about in 2009.
Okay.
To the point where since then I haven't personally owned a spinning rod.
Wow.
That's it.
No drop shot.
No drop shot. No small casting rods. Pretty much anything that's medium heavy and up, fishing 20 pound and up line.
Are you throwing flipping jigs still? Frogs?
Nope. I don't even know the frog rod.
Just swim bait.
Just swim bait.
That's some dedication, man.
Yeah. And it was dedication, and man, there were so many days, and I hear you talk about it on the podcast all the time, back out here throwing the same damn thing, not getting bit. And it might have been a different time, but want to say my second or third full year, PB went from 6 to 9. On the HUD.
Awesome, dude.
Yeah, at a lake that I grew up fishing.
Yeah.
It's produced some giant fish.
Shore pounding at the time?
No, we were on a boat.
Okay.
Yeah. I've always been fortunate enough to have a bass boat. My brother and I share one. So right now we fish out of a 19 tracker.
Okay.
Trolling motor, electronics, everything you need for the San Diego lakes that we fish. So PB went from, let's say, mid 6s up to 9, and then the quest was on. It was anytime I could, I was fishing swim baits, day, night, at the lakes, whatever I could do, as long as I was able to get the time. Before you have kids.
It's a wholly different game now.
Totally different game. Yep. So with all that going on, start getting the PB going. So around the same time, there started to be some changes going on. A lot of guys left Nation, went to Underground. Underground was a very popular place at the time because there wasn't a lot of social media. You had Facebook, yes, but not for groups and things. It was really limited.
No, I mean, even I started really fishing in 2009.
Yeah.
And when I got into catching a big bass, I remember going to Swimbait Underground 2011.
Yep.
Before there was no Fishing Network was one because it was local, and then Swimbait Underground.
Right. So yeah, December 2010 came along. Underground kind of started doing our own thing, and I want to say maybe 11 or 12. The guys that were running the site asked that I be a moderator.
Okay.
So I started just moderating, and somebody cusses, you have to clean it up, or if they do
is there no cussing on the thing, or is it kind
of it's pretty family friendly in that sense.
Cool.
We really pride ourselves in being a community where you can go and speak your opinion, but no cussing. You can't really call people out to a certain extent.
Yeah.
We're not gonna let it drag out.
You want to
It's just got to be a civil conversation, and that's pretty much what it's been since day one for the most part. The cussing has always been an issue online, and we just wanted a place where you're able to get the message across and share our common hobby, fishing, swimbait fishing specifically.
Yeah.
And the website is strictly dedicated to that.
Only swimbait fishing.
That's it.
Yeah.
So people trying to come in and sell their old rods that are crankbait rods, whatever it might be, that kind of stuff's not allowed. You want to post your PB that's not a swimbait fish, that's not allowed. Swimbait fishing and everything that goes into it is allowed within the website.
Yeah. And so you're still moderating till what time?
Yep, I was
Like
moderating
what
till
a year?
maybe like, I don't know exactly, but let's say 2012.
Okay.
So it's 19. Yeah, I would say like 12, end of 12, beginning of 13. They asked me to be more than that, so they brought me in as partner, as one of the partners, and it's kind of taken off from there.
So at 2013, how many partners were there at that time?
Just 3.
3.
Yeah.
And now, how many affiliates do you have? Because now it's just not SoCal or even California.
Yeah, so it's really taken off. So 2012, you look at it, that's about 2012, 13 is about when I became a part of it. That's also when I was looking the other day, I didn't know when we made our first Instagram post. It was June 10th, 2012.
Wow.
So now you've got a whole new community kind of sprouting up where before guys would come in like yourself, you'd post your PB pick, and that'd be the spot to show it off. Spot to talk about a new technique or questions or anything like that. So 12 started, and then we really got into Facebook and Instagram, and then Twitter was a little bit later on after that.
You guys do Twitter too?
Yeah, Twitter is huge in Japan.
Really?
Yeah, really, really popular. And when I was there earlier this year, I found out the reason that their words are like one character. So in 120 characters, they can say a lot more than what we're able to say.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
That's nice.
So Japanese culture is really into Instagram and Twitter.
Wow.
Yeah, but they don't understand the forum portion of it. They don't do forums.
Okay. So do you feel like Instagram, what's taking the priority right now? Like not the priority, but what's your main media?
Main media? Well, Instagram's posted every day, and that's kind of where we get the content that we're really looking to generate and push out there.
Yeah.
But still going is the forum. The forum's been nonstop since the very beginning, and like the different sections of it. So it's kind of interesting. The Instagram side of it, you have certain guys that interact. Then there's certain people that don't want to do social media in that sense, so they're on the forums, or then they're maybe on Twitter. So you get different little groups. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are in the same, but
so you don't post stuff from the forums on Instagram?
We do.
Okay, you do?
Yep. So we'll grab content like, for example, the PB section.
Okay.
You post your biggest fish on a swim bait. We'll go in, either myself, one of the moderators will grab that, and we'll get it over to the social team.
Okay.
Like, hey, this looks like really good content. And the hardest part is like, we want to share everybody's PB. It'd be great if we could.
Yeah.
But we've got to maintain like a certain level of image quality, and there's got to be like a good picture, and there can't be any questions on whether they caught it on the swim bait. Like you see some guys, they'll post their PB and every rod in the background is a spinning rod. You're like, okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So PB section's a big one. We grab a lot of content from there. We have the sub tournaments. Every month we have an online tournament that started in January 2011. So every month since January 2011, we've hosted an online swim bait only tournament. Wow. If I'm not mistaken, it was the first one. Could be off, I'm not sure. So essentially we release a code. Well, first, like signups. So signups are the 10th through the 15th. You've got to say that you're in on the thread. We're in, cool. It's got to be a swim bait. All the rules are there. Once the 15 starts, we release the code, and it's common now. The code for this week's tournament is, this week's. There's actually a tournament going on right now. It's dark hours.
Okay.
So not night bite, but dark hours. So you get the code, you put it on your scale. In the picture, you have to have the fish, the scale, the bait. Everything has to be there so we can put it all together. And it's gone on since then. And the prize every month is, gear from us.
Yeah.
Usually about $80 worth of gear, hats, shirts,
Cool,
bait
dude.
wrap. Yeah, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
And that culminates at the end of year. Well, actually not the end of year, before ice out, which ice out is when they ice over in back east, like November. So every year in October, we have the Tournament of Champions, or what we call the battle for the underground. All the monthly winners are entered into this tournament. Winner gets a huge prize pack from all the companies that we work with throughout the year.
No way.
Yeah. Yep. So starting to get all that stuff put together right now. And through the progression of this tournament, the biggest issue was always, well, you're in Massachusetts or wherever you are, you can't win. It was won by guys in California every year. So came up with like a handicap, if you will, where if your state record is between 14 and 16 pounds, no matter what you catch, you get added 2.5 pounds.
That makes it fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All we want is a place where everybody can come in, they can enter their fish and feel like they have a chance to win.
Yeah.
Versus what we had before where it was guaranteed California guy winning every time. October, and not even California. A lot of times it was Northern California.
Yeah.
October up there, they're starting to put trout in. Big girls are out.
Yeah.
We had fish, I want to say up to like 13, 14 win it.
Shit, dude,
Yeah.
that's big.
Yep. You got 1 week to make it happen, and the guys make it happen.
Yeah.
So came up with the handicap system, and last year we actually had our first guy from the East Coast win the battle from Massachusetts. He caught a 7-8 pounder.
Damn.
With the handicap for that, put him over the edge.
Which is great, right? For the East Coast, that side
Huge.
of the fish is big.
Yep. And swim baiting's gotten really big on the East Coast.
Okay.
Massachusetts has like a huge following. There's a big group of swim baiters out there. The whole area, I don't know exactly geographically what the area is called. Like I know the dudes from Massachusetts are on the boards, they're catching big fish, and they're a big part of what we do.
Wow. How many active users do you guys have right now?
I don't know the exact number of active users, but I know on Swimbaitunderground alone, we're close to 30,000 members.
Wow, that's
on
good,
the forums.
Dude. Yeah.
Yep.
That's great.
And then you add in the close to 100,000 on Instagram. I want to say like 26,000 on Facebook and Twitter. I'm not exactly sure how many we have.
Which I feel like Facebook's the hardest one.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'm like, dude, I look at my Facebook and I'm like, it sucks, dude.
I'm off Facebook personally.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I still have an account, and like I'll still get friend requests randomly all the time, or throughout the day, but I just choose not to spend my time there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just deleted the app from my phone, and
Oh man,
that was
radio silence, huh?
yeah.
Instagram too. You got to check that screen time on your phone.
Got to manage the screen time. But like social media is good and bad in what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really helped elevate our platform as a whole.
Yeah. And so are you taking care of what's your portion you like to take care of? Are you doing a little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything.
Okay.
And we have guys that do other things, and this is something that's not known very well, but up until March of this year, it was kind of unknown who was running Swimbaitunderground and who was doing a lot of the things. We went to Japan for a big trip to see some of our friends back there. We went to Keepcast, which is it's similar to like their version of Fred Hall.
Okay.
A lot of the smaller companies are there, but also the big companies. So we were there, and it was kind of like the first time where I was seen as the front man, if you will.
Who's the other two people that are with you?
So the other two guys specifically, one's actually left since then.
Okay.
The other guy kind of likes to remain nameless.
Okay.
As do most of the guys in the crew.
Which is kind of a cool thing. Right?
Yeah. It totally depends on like for
I
me
think
it was
it's
great.
cool. I mean, yeah, of course it's great for you. You're the face, bro.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm just fucking with you. I'm just messing around.
Like
dude.
anybody that knows me know that's like the last thing that I want.
Yeah,
The reason that I do what I do with Swimbaitunderground is because I'm incredibly passionate about it. Like fishing's been a part of my life since I was a kid. And since 2009, 2010, like I mentioned, swim bait fishing has been the only thing for me. And there's a lot of drama that goes on in the swim bait world specifically, especially in Southern California, because the waters are so close and there's so many people.
And I feel like that's with all fishing. At least I think Southern California is just drama bear. It sounds horrible, but
it's not just Southern California.
But
I found out it's everywhere.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
complaints like a son of a gun from everywhere.
Yeah, it's like it's all over the world, and
Yeah.
I think it's just when you become passionate about certain things, like there's so few people that are running in certain circles, and doing what we're doing, that it's just there's people that are gonna butt heads.
Yeah.
So back to your question, like that's why a lot of the guys remain nameless, like social media guy, the blog guy, the guy that runs the tournaments, the shipping and receiving. They're all dudes. They are all a part of the industry. They just don't.
They're just helping you out because they want to be part of it.
They want to be a part of it,
but they don't need to. They don't need any kind of recognition.
Yep,
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, and that's I maybe lead from the top, but that's how it is for me too. Like even just doing this is not is so far outside of my comfort zone.
Yeah,
and like sitting and talking about what we're doing. But we haven't talked about this. Like I've listened to all your episodes. I really appreciate what you're doing for the fishing community.
Thanks, bro. I appreciate that.
It's something that's really important for us to be, part of a community, whether we're swim bait fishing, saltwater fishing, trout fishing, whatever it is. Like, we all have the same hobby. Mm-hmm. We all come from different walks of life. But at the end of the day, like, we're all into the exact same thing: catching fish, having a good time.
Yeah.
So the people that you have on, like, really opens my eyes, and it shines a different kind of light on each one of them. Like, there's dudes that you see their name, you're like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, like type of music.
Nick Townsend, my buddy. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not really good with all the names, but like, he does the mastering. Yeah. Right? I'm not into that kind of music at all. You guys are talking about places that I've never heard of, and you're speaking French as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But like, it's cool how the two of you knew each other in a past life, then started fishing, and like, you're back doing it again, and he's helping you with some of this stuff. It's really neat to see the fishing community kind of become a part of that, and that's really what we're fostering on Swimbaitunderground, whether it's on the website or on Instagram or Facebook.
And I feel like, you guys push the same thing where it's a lot of positive, Yeah. When it's easy, for nowadays, it's negativity is just everywhere.
Totally. And that's what we want. There's negativity everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, same reason I'm off Facebook. I don't turn the news on. You want to sit there and watch the news with all the stuff? Like, you got 5 minutes and everything bad that's going on in the world, when there's so much good that we're all doing. And so, I'm happy to do this because of what you mean to this community. And it's a really awesome thing that you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, and you're helping us grow, like, a lot. I mean, you and Mike and Fred, Matt Peters, dude, all these guys have been super nice. And I'm trying to get more freshwater guys on. I think the next thing I'm going to do, probably make a trip to San Diego and make a trip up north. Yeah.
It's funny you mentioned Peters. So right around the time that I started getting into swim baiting was when Southern Trout Ears came out. So
such a great, I watched that like 6 months ago, and I just watched the whole thing. I'm like, this is great cast to catch, fucking awesome.
And like, the dudes that were doing cast to catch then, there weren't a lot. It was Peters, it was Butch Brown, and he's still doing it. And they're the reason that I have my PB on cast to catch footage that forever. Like, it'll be there, which is awesome. Like, largemouth, I have.
Do you think it's very important if you are videoing yourself to do the cast to catch?
Totally. And
like,
today,
you got to today, because it's like too easy just to go.
Today's day and age, like, with the programs that people can do and edit and Photoshop and all these different things, cast to catch is really all we have left, especially when you see some of the things that have come out recently.
Yeah.
And our stance on that is like, let that kind of go be whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you don't want any questions, show it.
Yeah.
If you want to show that you've caught 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever it is, heck, if you cut a 6-pounder and that's your PB, that's awesome. Like, cast to catch at the end of the day is really what puts it all together.
Do you run a GoPro most of the time when you fish?
I don't run a GoPro much at all anymore.
No, just a picture. That's it. Huh?
Interestingly enough, my PB was filmed on a camera like you've got up there.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Kind of like, GoPros were so unstable at the time. Like, the handy cam was where it's at.
Yeah.
But yeah, got it. I had some guys in town from.
How did you set it up on your boat?
In the seat post.
Did you?
Yeah.
And just kind of.
Yep.
Wow, that's cool, man.
Yeah, it was good. Hey, it was rudimentary, but it worked.
How big was the fish?
11.
And when was that?
Gosh, 13 maybe, 13, 14.
Wow.
So it's been a while. Yeah.
I know what you're feeling. My PB's, I think it's almost 8.7 something out of Henshaw.
Yep.
When I first started fishing.
It's
when I first started getting to the largemouth. So it's like, I don't know if I'm gonna touch that again, or if I'm gonna, it's gonna be with a big swim bait. But
that's the whole thing. Like, when you start to put the time in, you're not gonna catch fish for 3 weeks. Like, I've talked to some guys on the water. Like Gilbert, I talked to him recently, and he's after his show, like, oh, I did 42 trips in a row and blanking. Like, I don't have 42 trips in the bank for me.
Yeah.
With a wife and a son who's a little bit over a year. Like, I'm lucky if I'm getting out twice a month now.
Does that change your fishing style?
Yeah, totally.
Really?
Big time.
So does that make you go, I'm going to use any swim bait I can, or I'm going to stick with a certain swim bait?
I
like that's something that interests me because okay, if you know you have this much time, like because you have kids, wife, what are you gonna do to make your chances better? Are you gonna lighten up line? You're gonna change a different rod? What are you gonna do?
It really comes down to what your end goal is. Like if you're strictly looking for a PB, it's hard to beat the months of December to March before they get on beds. That's another thing in the cast to catch world. Bed fishing is not swim bait fishing. Like two totally different things.
Yeah.
It's just not.
Yeah.
So before they get up on beds, obviously they're gonna be their biggest. My recommendation, depending on what your style is, a lot of guys are drawn to hard baits and glide baits, but at the end of the day, it's tough to beat a big soft bait.
Really?
Yeah. Whatever that might be. If you're into Huddlestons or if you're into, the Battle Shad or whatever it might be, big soft bait's the way to go. Something that hides the hook as much as you can. There's nothing extra there. Like it looks as natural as possible. That's my opinion.
Same thing if you were throwing just to catch a fish. Would you go differently?
Totally different.
What would you do in then?
So like a lot of my fishing time now is during the summer and at night because that's when I can get out. So I really like some of the JDM stuff, the big crawler baits. I don't know if you've seen them. I've got one in the bag. We can check it out. But it basically looks like a bat that's on top of the water, where like the top water explosion in the middle of summer. It's just something but it's different. You're not going to get that 12 pounder. You're not going to get that 10 pounder in the middle of summer in the areas that we're fishing, where you can fish at night.
Yeah.
So a lot of that reaction type bait. The stuff that DRT is doing right now with the Tiny Clash and K9, those are high up. Guys like Caesar at Toxic.
Yeah.
I could go on all day with baits, but like if you're strictly looking for a PB, it's tough to beat a big soft bait.
That style of bait, yeah.
Whether it's boot tail, paddle tail, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So then, as you started to expand, we'll go back to the Swimbaitunderground stuff.
Yep.
What was your first thing where you're like, okay, you have guys back east that kind of help out with material too, right?
Yeah. So there's
like
some guys.
Where are you? What states are you in? How about that? Where you have guys that help? Maybe do any kind of moderation or even like blog post or something.
Yeah. So you've got obviously heavily California based because there's a big portion of anglers here. Then we have a couple guys back east. If I gave away their location, they might be a little more. Yeah. So there's a couple guys back east that help out. More than anything, it's just being there to do what it takes. And the cool part about that for them is I guess it's good and bad. They get to see the back end of what's going on.
Yeah.
In certain instances, and it can go one of two ways for you. Either you become more enthralled in the community, or it's kind of a turnoff for you.
Yeah. Right. And when did the Japan thing kind of come about?
Japan, well, like if you're in this world swim baits and you know anything, like you want to go to Lake Biwa. It'd be the equivalent of Clear Lake here, but even more allure just because of the JDM tackle and the high end stuff that they have. So a trip to Japan has been on my list for as long as I can remember.
Okay.
And it really became a reality with, interestingly enough, one of our very first Japanese orders.
Really?
Yeah, it's cool. So, had an order from a guy he's pretty prominent over there, and I was like, oh, that's cool. One of our first Japanese customers, and I didn't realize that the label printer couldn't print the characters that in their address. So it wasn't in English; it was just in Japanese characters. I didn't look at the label, obviously I put it in a box with way more stuff, put it on the box in the little customs form thing, and messaged him, hey, did you ever get the stuff? Never, just disappeared. That box is still floating around somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
That sucks.
Yeah. So then after that, I kind of went back and retraced, and we've connected with them long term, and he actually hosted us at his booth. Tomoya Shirakawa from DRT.
Yeah.
He had us at his booth at Keepcast this year. And so it was a 2-week trip. First half of the trip was my wife, my son, and I getting to experience Japan as a family, which was incredible. My son's a little over a year. He's like a year and 2 months, year and 3 months coming up. So at that time he was young. He was, I guess, 8 months.
Wow.
Yeah. So he spent a lot of time like in the carrier being toted around, and he loved every minute of it.
cool.
My wife and I had a great time. And then the second half of the trip, some of the crew came in, and my brother included, we went, so there was 4 of us total, myself, my brother, buddy Ben, and then Raphael from DRT USA met up.
Okay.
And then we all went from Tokyo, visited a couple tackle shops, and cruised down to Nagoya for the big show.
Wow.
Did 2 days of that. Had an interpreter because I speak no Japanese, which is ridiculous. But it's hard. And incredibly gracious people, like very nice.
How did Swimbaitunderground go over at the show?
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people come up. And
Tons. It was wild to see how many people were wearing the gear. It's humbling to see, especially so far away from home.
Yeah.
And not speaking English, and they're wearing the gear. And we did 2 days. We had a special release bait and some bait wraps that we did both days. We sold out both days. It was really cool. Met a bunch of customers, made lifelong friends, still message them over Instagram. And that's one of the cool things that we see now through social media is like you're immediately connected to these people that you've never met before. Then you meet them and the bond's even stronger.
Yeah.
So the community just continues to grow. But it was a really cool deal. Then after the show, we were down on Lake Biwa fishing and hanging out for 5 days of fun.
How was the fishing?
It was a tough time of year.
Was it?
Yeah, I did catch a bass.
Oh, good.
Caught a bass on shore, right out near the hotel. It was kind of an interesting story. We're staying at this really nice hotel on the south shore of Lake Biwa, and there's people fishing everywhere. It's a huge lake, almost like an ocean, but everywhere you go, there's people fishing from shore. So most are shore fishermen because of the sheer cost of the boat and storage and all this stuff and space more than anything. So it's mostly shore-driven anglers, and we're cruising down and going to a restaurant. My wife and I were walking down to have lunch with our son, and it was an Italian restaurant right on the shore called I think it was Anchovy. Right, Italian restaurant in Japan, right on the shore. Yeah, it's a super cool spot.
Yeah,
maybe like half a mile from our hotel. We walked down there, and we started eating, have a great meal. We're trying to pay, and the chef comes out from the back and goes, "Sorry, you can't pay." And I'm like, "What?" Mm-hmm. And he goes, "Swimbaitunderground, you, Chris." I'm like, "Yeah." Apparently, he was at the show in Nagoya, which is
really? That's awesome.
2-hour train ride.
Yeah.
Down into Shiga, and he saw us at the show. And I had nothing with me, like no extra freebies. I had no stickers. I'm like, oh man, we got to get this guy hooked up.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. Got a picture with him, with myself, my wife, and my son. Then we go back to the hotel. I grabbed some of our gear to give him, what we had left at that point, and took my fishing rod, started fishing my way back down. Boom, got a fish right there, like on the way back to see the guy. Hooked him up with some gear, and it was really, really
all
neat
came
deal.
together. It's like a nice story, you know.
Yeah,
like,
it was a tiny
catch
fish.
a fish. It doesn't matter, dude. I don't.
It was like it was maybe 2 pounds, but pretty neat.
Yeah.
It was the middle of March, so cold weather. It was really cold there.
A lot of people fish though. There.
Oh, we saw
a lot of people fish.
Ton of people. Like just from in that half-mile walk, we probably walked by, I don't know, 15, 20 shore fishermen.
That's a lot.
And from our hotel room, you could see like this really cool jetty point that went out. And no matter what time you were awake, there was somebody fishing that point. And at times like 3, 4, 5 boats. It was
really,
yeah.
Wow.
Fishing is a big part of their world. It's
is
cool.
it?
Yeah.
That's cool to see.
Yeah, it was cool. And like the trip as a whole was neat. My brother got to go on a boat with the world record holder, largemouth bass. Yeah, super cool. And Tamoya and Raphael from DRT USA, like some neat experiences that we'll take back forever.
Yeah.
And looking forward to go back in March.
Does your brother help out a lot?
Yeah, my brother does a ton.
Does he?
Yep.
He's a big freshwater fisherman then too.
And salt.
Yeah,
so like right now it's tough to catch good fish.
Yeah.
Big largemouth for us. So he transitions to salt, and he's been chasing yellowfin and bluefin all summer, and doing pretty well.
Do you do calico fishing too?
I do. Yeah, I love calico fishing. Same application. I take
Are you
the swim
using the
baits.
same swim baits as you do for freshwater?
Yeah.
That was a question that I had.
Same exact stuff.
Really?
hard baits though, not the soft. They're,
Yeah.
you know, you're gonna throw a Huddleston there, it'll get ruined. It's not worth
much
it.
money, yeah.
So yeah. Well, it depends what you lose. So, I would say in the last 2 to 3 years, it's really been like a huge transition. The swim baits are the exact same on fresh and salt for me. Just depends on like what application I'm looking for. So last year I got my PB Calico on the swim bait, 8.3.
What were you using?
Clash 9 DRT. It's like
Really?
Yep. Fishes like a big crankbait.
Yeah.
And same sort of deal. There's a lot of different options on it. But it was cool to be able to catch my PB on a swim bait. It's a freshwater swim bait, and I just ruin them out there in the salt. Hook hangers are toast.
Yeah.
Like I've broken them. Lost one to a seal a couple of weeks ago.
Same gear, like same line setup, everything, or using like braid instead?
Yeah, 65 pound.
Really?
Yeah, and traditionally I'm using extra heavy and heavy swim bait rods. Same stuff. Tranks 300, or I have a Japanese one. It's a Grappler 300. It's just.
Are you a big Tranks guy? Is that your reel that you like to use?
It is currently.
Okay.
I've used everything. It's just become kind of my go-to.
Okay.
Convenience, durability more than anything.
Yeah, which is still cool to see. Like when I see Ryan Block, he would always put up stuff, triple trout stuff. It's that's really cool.
Yep, and then that's exactly it. Triple trout. There's so many different baits that you can use, but my saltwater bait box looks a lot like my freshwater bait box. It's just got ST66s on there instead.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
same stuff.
Yeah.
It's neat to be able to cross over and catch them on both things.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
And then, how long have you been really focusing on the clothing part of the company?
So like not just being a website and social media, like the that side of things, probably maybe like 13 also, 13, 14.
Really?
Yeah, it's really, it's a little later.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many things logistically that we have to do. And I'm not a design guy. I don't do that stuff. So it's not easy. But the clothing and the good side of things, if you will, has been in the works for a while. Hats, all that stuff, bait wraps. That'll hold all those
the new bag you guys, that's a bag, right?
New backpack that it came together on the Japan trip too. Guys from Korea have a really nice bag. It's perfect for shore fishing. It's got a plier holder. It's got everything you need. We met them at the show in Japan. We were able to do some co-branding or collaboration, and we just did our second drop of them, and they're almost gone. It's what I fish in every day. Yeah. It's actually what I fished in over there too. It's cool.
Did you?
Yeah, he gave me a sample of one, and so it was a good sales technique for him. Yeah. But yeah.
Is that a limited release thing? Or are you going to just probably not do any more after the second drop?
A lot of what we do is fairly limited.
Okay.
In that we're not looking to have stuff sit around or anything like that. So we do runs of them. We will definitely do more of these bags. Just depends on the color and when they'll come up next. The things that are limited though are like the bait releases that we've done. So tons of bait makers, both here in the United States and over in Japan. We've done special one-off colors and collaborations with them. We get X number of them, we put them up, and they sell out real quick.
You guys sell everything yourself too, right?
In the States here, we have a couple stores.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So like my hometown store is East County Bait and Tackle. That I know you like to ask and find out what those are the guys when I need something freshwater. That's where I'm going.
Okay.
They do a great job. And then in Northern California, we've got Coyote Bait and Tackle.
Okay.
Those are the two, and that's it.
Is
in
Coyote
States.
the one that did the commercial? There was a one that did this crazy commercial.
I don't remember it.
God, I think it was.
It's possible.
It was like some redneck dude coming in and like it was like a used car salesman commercial.
I'd have to check it out.
Dude, it was great. It was great. Yeah.
The guys up at Coyote are great too, and here that's what we do. But everything else is direct to consumer.
Great.
Which is it's a different dynamic for sure.
Yeah, lots of work, right?
More work, yeah. But at the end of the day, we're able to kind of
personable, a little more personal. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And more than anything, the user experience is there for each of the people at the end of the day. Like, we have the whole thing for each of them. They get the bag, they get the sticker, they get the keychain that goes with it, and we determine how that process is.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then on the flip side, once we go international, like, we have a ton of stores internationally that kind of distribute for us not distribute, but sell. Because different markets are more inclined to go to brick and mortar.
Yeah.
The language barrier is difficult too.
Oh, I'm sure. So yeah, you got to deal with. You probably have a guy over there that speaks English that can talk to you, right?
We have some guys there that speak English, but like at the end of the day, it's a lot of it's in house.
Are you getting up to talk to people, like phone calls in the middle of the night?
Well, the nice thing is, like, they're getting up when we're traditionally going to sleep.
Okay.
So, put my son to bed or help with that whole process, and then if there's anything else that needs to be done, but a lot of those calls are late night, early morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But nothing bizarre. Like wake up at 1 a.m. for a conference call. Nothing like that. But a lot of like burning it at both ends of the candle.
Yeah.
To make sure that it keeps moving forward, because it's a passion of mine. I love fishing. The company's a big passion too, and plus, like, on the overseas part, like, there's a huge infatuation domestically with what they're doing. Yeah. Like in the swim bait world and in the bass fishing world, like the JDM stuff is always next level. Well, that same feeling is flipped. They look at our stuff as like, oh, that's the next thing. Or so there's a lot of that goes back and forth, and just need to make sure that we can facilitate that and bring it back into the community as much as we can.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Which is crazy, being able to deal with someone like overseas. Which makes your dream kind of go, wow, man.
The iPhone,
it's coming.
Dude, the iPhone makes things so easy.
Yeah.
Like when we were there, you can open the Google Translate app, and if there's a sign in Japanese, you just hold your phone up to it, and it tells you exactly what you need. So a lot of the messages might be choppy, but I'm talking to people in Japan, I'm talking to them in Korea, and I can get the point across. Mm-hmm. I've just found that it's best to keep it short and direct.
And I'm sure they feel the same way. They probably have a choppy message back at you.
Yep. But at the same time, like, every once in a while they'll ask me to send something in English or whatever it might be, because it does get lost in translation. That happens all the time.
I bet.
And we really found it when we went over there. They wanted to know a lot about kind of like the behind the scenes stuff in the U.S. fishing world. They wanted to get the insight.
They like the drama. No.
Not drama as much, but like there was a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So translator help.
Yeah, we had a translator. Gosh. I was actually just messaging him earlier I guess it was last week I was messaging him, but we had 2 translators, one at the booth and then one that was with us for the portion of the time. And like, if it wasn't for them, you've just got a bunch of guys, like all of us are
looking
the same.
at each other going,
either looking on our phone, hitting messages and like bowing and shaking our head yes, or like, no, that's not it. Or like, hey, where's the next meal or the next beer? Like that was there's some cool stuff.
So you guys did an Irvine event. When was that?
We've done 2, maybe 3 Irvine events.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact dates, and I should have brought them up because. So yeah, in addition to the monthly online tournaments, we've also hosted a couple in-person tournaments at Irvine, unofficially.
No permit.
Yeah, unofficial tournaments. Same thing, but everybody was in person. Big fish, swim baits only. Whatever the rules were, 6 inches and up, and however you want to look at it. But there was 2, maybe 3. It was usually team tournaments. And
so it was a shore pound or was it
boats?
Boat at Irvine.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yep.
How many boats did you guys have?
Oh, I know we had a guy come down from Northern California for it, and potentially one other, but I want to say there was anywhere from 10 to 20 boats each time.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. We had one that a team by the name of Alex and Austin, Alex Kim from Shimano. Gully is his online persona. He won it. I believe it was on the triple trout, and I think it was his PB, and it was like 10 or 11.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So to be able to put it all together and have somebody catch, and I could be totally off. So Gully, if you're hearing this, I apologize if it's not your PB. if it, but to have somebody catch their PB in a tournament, at a swim bait only event, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Then the next one, my brother and I actually won. Nothing big.
Look at you. Winners. The guys that put it on.
No, we rigged it. Yeah, we totally rigged it.
I'm sure you heard that.
No, we didn't. That's one thing about in the cast to catch world, and
you can. Yeah.
They were both night tournaments though, so it wasn't footage, but this group of guys that came out for this event, everybody knew each other. And there's no funny business, but we have had guys try to cheat on the monthly tournaments.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
They've gotten far, like almost.
No, just on the month, they like post their fish up, and then we start looking around and kicking around, and we're like, yeah, that's an old picture. It's like,
I'm sure everyone's going to cheat no matter what. Like
there's going to be somebody.
Someone's going to cheat, dude.
For sure.
Someone's going to cheat.
Yep.
And then have you thought about doing like any other tournaments?
Yeah, we've talked about doing tournaments again with some of the guys in Southern California, and just actually doing it right and getting the permits and having the lake to ourselves for the entire night.
Maybe just doing like a full swim bait only.
Yep.
Wow, which would probably get a lot of guys interested in that.
Yeah, there'd be a ton. Like we were just up at one in Northern California. There's another company that was hosting a tournament, and there was a corresponding toxic day, and that was swim bait only tournament. And so we could do something like that. The difficult thing in Southern California is just the waters are so small.
Yeah.
But it could definitely work as long as we had the right people, on the city side or whatever permits and everything need to be done to make it happen. It would be something that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Logistically, it's just a little difficult at this time.
Oh, I bet. You had a lot of things going on.
Yeah, it's very fortunate, and just try to get as much of it done as I can. And it's just part of becoming a family man and trying to run businesses and doing things, just like you're doing with this, like spending the extra time, making the extra effort to put something out for the community that there might have been a void at the time before.
Yeah. Let's you bring some baits we can check out.
Yeah,
let's check them out. All right, so Chris brings some of the baits they've done collaborations with. There's a million different ones you guys have done it with. So
the collaboration baits we're looking at are just from bait makers, whether they're here in the U.S. or over in Japan, that we've released limited quantities of. And what we'll do is we'll give a full breakdown on each of them. But it's really neat. There's some from guys that are members of the forum. They started in the grassroots section, where that's kind of like the lure building section. They showed progress in some of their baits. They have people that help field test them, and then they finally get to a product that they feel is good enough to release to the public.
So some of these guys started by watching or looking through Swimbaitunderground and going, I want to make a bait.
I don't know if they started by watching there, but progress of their baits is documented there.
You saw them come up.
Exactly.
Okay.
So saw them come up through the ranks where, it was an idea, and then they had this kind of crude one the first time, and it's gotten better and better and better. And so that's one of the neat little sections on the forums. And it's active. You see guys all the time just coming out with new ideas. So there's probably like 3 or 4 of those baits here on the table.
Okay.
Were guys that are a part of the forums that showed build threads throughout, which is pretty neat.
And you saw them build up, like we were saying, through the...
Yeah, it's
you saw their promo, their
it's just like
prototype
all the way through the end, and it's kind of interesting. A couple weeks ago, we had some guys in from Arizona, and like being a part of the community for as long as I have, I've kind of seen them grow up to where they were like, 13, 14-year-old kids just kind of starting to fish, to now they're younger adults, and they flew out here. We took them fishing. We'd go out, have dinner, and it's kind of neat to see the progression of both somebody's baits and also their themselves as a person.
Yeah.
Hell, I had a lot more hair when I started working.
Hey, I'm there with you.
Yeah.
Hey, you got to wear it, bro. You got to wear the,
Yeah.
Bald head. I'm all about it, dude.
Hey.
I'm part of the club.
Exactly. That's what it's all about today.
So yeah, let's talk about, we got time, so we'll kind of go over all these baits. We got more stuff coming, and hopefully in the next couple months, if all goes well, I can put up a actual YouTube of each podcast, but it's hard. I'm sure Chris knows doing this solo, dude, is not easy.
Yeah.
So
and it's like when you started talking earlier about the, cast to catch and GoPros and stuff. That's kind of why I got away from it. The sheer management of all of the content that we have is ridiculous. And I think we just got a new GoPro, and so we'll be kind of getting things back going. I really want to get, like, my next goal in fishing in general is to get that 10-pound calico, and for me to have both largie and calico over 10 on the swim bait would be awesome, and it'd be a just next level to have them both on cast to catch. So that's really what kind of is on the horizon for my personal fishing.
Wow, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
that'd be a cool cast to catch to have both. That's like,
yeah,
that'd be a great video.
It would be cool.
Now hold on, if you could do it on the same bait, that'd even be cooler.
Same bait is possible. It is possible.
Right, that would be freaking crazy.
Yeah,
like, to do,
that'd be wild.
Yeah.
Now the same like exact bait, I don't know. I've been known to lose a lot of baits. Whether it's
very expensive bait.
Oh my gosh, the most expensive. It was heartbreaking when the bull shooter first came out. The full size one, you could only get them in Japan, and I got it through some online auction, not eBay, but like a third party source where you have to pay somebody to bid on it for you. And I think I paid over $300 for it.
Was that your most expensive?
No. Well, at the time, yes.
Okay.
It was my most expensive. And I went out one morning and I was fishing.
Oh my God.
And I didn't cast it off. I didn't break it off. I was just reeling in and it was gone. As if like somebody
what size
came.
Line? What size line?
I usually fish 20-pound.
20-pound mono or fluoro?
I fish copoly, so XXX, which is a combination of them both.
Which is kind of light.
20-pound?
Yeah.
Just
See, I
depends
don't
who you
know,
ask.
because some guys will fish like I always say, when I threw S waivers, they go put on 30-pound mono. I'm like, all right.
Yeah,
So
but like
I lost 2 S waivers that day.
on 30-pound.
I got a backlash, let it go, and fucking long and behold, that shit fell right in the water, and I couldn't get it out, and I'm not swimming for a $50 S waiver.
No. And line wise, usually for me it's 20. If I'm fishing like the big stuff, like a 10-inch soft bait, 12-inch soft bait, it might go to 25, but it's like, some of the guys that you've had on the podcast, Gilbert specifically, like he's a big proponent of light line and as natural as it can be. And tying it all back in, like we're all personally, I started throwing swim baits to catch my PB.
Yeah.
And if you're not in that same book, if you're not there to do it, then, maybe you do throw something a little bit different. But if your sole purpose and goal is to try to catch that PB, you got to do all you can to hide it.
Yeah. What type of line? So if someone did want to buy that line,
Yeah.
who makes it?
Iserline.
Iserline.
Yeah, XXX. I buy it by the giant spool because that's another thing. Like I'm constantly respooling.
How many times do you? So are you putting the whole reel? No
backing.
Like braid
no,
backer.
For the style fishing I do now, it's a lot of shore fishing.
Okay.
So I'm fishing like the Daiwa Ryoga 1520, which is a little bit smaller reel. It doesn't hold a ton of line. Maybe like 80, 90 yards of that 20-pound. So, just spool it up and it's gone. But the nice thing about the Iser XXX is that it's not nearly as expensive as fluoro. So you don't feel bad just running through it.
How often do you change?
Probably about every 2 trips.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like 3 at most.
Yeah.
And a lot of it also depends on time. Like if I have an hour to break free and I can go down to the local spot. Yeah, exactly. It's fine. I'm like, it's probably,
Probably until you lose that $300 bait.
Almost spooling. Yeah, and that's what happens. So back to that story. I sat there and we had tire chains in the boat. I don't know if we still do to drag the bottom. And I dragged the bottom for 35, 40 minutes and I just left the lake so defeated.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And that was your most expensive loss.
It was, but for me, it wasn't the expense of the loss. It was the ability to replace it. You could not get the bull shooter at the time, and it was getting bit. So, are you familiar with it?
No, I'm not.
I've heard of it. It's a bluegill glide bait, and injected from depths. It's a nice bait. No, I think it was the 190 millimeters. So it's a big bait. Just couldn't find him anywhere.
So that was
the toughest loss. Yeah.
What's your most expensive bait you threw?
the fortunate spot that I'm in now, a lot of my baits I pay retail for. And I've also gotten to the point in my life where I'm not chasing after certain baits as much. I just kind of make do with what I have. But like this bait, for example, that's a version of what I caught my PB on. That's the DRT Swimbait Underground collaboration color. I caught my PB on a prototype version of it. It was like one of 3 baits. I lost it to a seal. It's like, you're not getting it back. It's gone.
Yeah.
So happens.
Yeah.
But, I'm sorry. I got
your most
sidetracked.
Expensive bait.
Oh, that I throw now?
That you had throw. Yeah. How about that you own? I just want to know how much someone would pay for a bait.
Well, again,
or how much would it be? How about that? How
so
much
that's a
would it
great
be?
question.
Yeah.
I got a 4 bait set when we were in Japan. There's only 100 sets made. And in
all
order,
handcrafted?
these particular ones are injected. It's
Okay.
it's the same thing here.
Okay.
This particular set, each individual bait on auction sells for like between $300 and $500, depending. Oh my God. And I got the 4 bait
You
set.
don't throw those, do you?
No, I'm not a collector like of baits, and even with these particular ones, like I've had to go back to manufacturers and say, hey, I fished that bait. I kind of wanted to tuck one away for the collection. For the swim bait. It's kind of like, it just documents the history for us. You're able to see exactly what we've done with all the great bait makers that we work with.
It'd be awesome, like down the line, to have a warehouse where you could see all this.
Oh yeah.
Right? That'd be cool to walk in there and say, hey, let's go check out like the history kind of, that'd be super. And rods.
Yeah.
I'm sure low down custom stuff. You use their rods?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. We didn't get into that subject, but me personally, there's other rod makers around, and I even had like personal relationships with certain rod makers, swim bait rod makers at the time, and I reached out to them and I said, hey, I want to get into swim baiting. Can you help me with some recommendations on a rod? And I got nothing. No response.
Yeah.
Somebody that I had known for a long time. And so I'm like, all right, cool. I messaged Ben from Lowdown out of nowhere. He was making rods. He had just gotten started maybe a year before. And I'm like, hey, I'm looking for a rod. Can you kind of point me in the right direction? He's like, sure, let's meet out at this park in Orange County, wherever it was.
Yeah.
And at the time I was living in Redondo Beach, so it was not a big deal. No.
He lives down in Tustin, right?
At that time, he might have been in Fullerton.
Okay.
But yeah, so met up at a park, checked out the rods. At the time, by the way, my wife thought this was the weirdest thing in the world. Like, number 1, you're meeting guys online. Number 2, you're going to City Park Lakes in the middle of the night. And like, do you even know this guy? What are you really into? Yeah, exactly.
I seen Brokeback Mountain, man.
Yeah. And I'm like, but at the time, it was so much before Instagram and all these things that it was the way that we could all connect. So long story short, meet up with him, makes me my first rod, and those are the only rods I've ever fished.
Really?
Yeah.
When was that into your swim bait career? Like, was that
2010?
So that was like the next year you got into it.
So
the year after you got into it, you kind of looked for a good rod.
I don't know exactly the lineup of the dates, but it was the only rod I ever ordered specifically for swim baiting. So I ordered it, and there was a little bit of a wait time. So I bought another brand, and
commercial brand?
Yeah, commercial brand. Okay. It wasn't the best swim bait rod. Actually, I take that back. I had 2 other rods. One was the one that Peters recommends, and in Southern Trout Eaters and Butch Brown, it's the BBR. I think the 966, the old Loomis. It's a great rod. I had that for throwing hard baits, bigger soft baits, and then this rod that I ordered from Lowdown was like it was a heavy rod, so it covered a lot of what you're seeing on the table, but didn't have that upper range, if you will.
And the reason I like asking questions like this is because when I'm doing something, everyone has to deal with the learning curve, but if I can just go, hey, don't spend $100 on this rod, spend $350 on this, because you're going to save time, the money, the effort to, like, I'd rather someone just tell me, save your money up, get this.
And
you know what I'm saying? That's why I like going, how long were you fishing before you bought this rod?
Yeah.
Well, I just went straight to the fucking rod and said, hey, I'm not going to deal with anything. I just want to know.
And that's what was nice about the forum at the time.
Yeah.
It cut your learning curve in half. Like you could get the details that you needed and you could get them quick. So yeah, having a warehouse with all the rods and all the reel,
That'd be cool. Yeah.
it'd be really nice. And I actually have a buddy that's working on a nice big rod rack for me right now.
Yeah.
I currently have like one side of my entire garage just full of them because a lot
How
of
many
times
rods do you have?
a lot.
50 or 50 or lower?
Like we talking freshwater style only, or like because
Do
then
you fish different saltwater rods?
for what I do, no. But like let's say we were going on a tuna trip tomorrow,
Yeah.
I could go to my dad's house and there's like 3 times as many as I have. So, but at my house, I want to say the last count I had was like 22, 24.
That's not bad.
But there's when it comes to the swim bait world, you really need like between 2 and 3.
Really?
Yeah, like if you're really getting into this,
Do you have reels to match all those rods?
not everyone, no, but I do have a lot of reels too. But it's just like anything else. Like I've talked to my wife Jen about. I'm like, I don't golf. I don't have other hobbies. Like, you know, this is pretty much it. Well, except for hunting. I've recently got into hunting. I got her a dog as a Christmas present, a fox red lab, like 4 years ago.
You got your wife a dog.
Yeah, so that's the best part of the story. Yeah.
And you made sure to research that one, just like with the fishing rods, and
Yes.
go, what kind of dog is the best hunting
Interestingly enough, she grew up in a family of hunters. My father-in-law hunts, my brother-in-law hunts, and I was never that into it. I always fished. And so when it came to getting a new lab that she wanted, well, you know, we're living on our own, married, all that stuff, had a house finally. She wanted a lab of her own. So I went to the guys. I said, hey, who has the best labs? And they said, Rainy Ranch out in Santa Isabella, out by kind of near Henshaw.
Okay.
It's right out there.
Okay.
And I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. So I got him, and incredible dog. But like, you're talking about a Ferrari of dogs. Like the guy's a freak. He's probably like 80 pounds right now in the off season, but like as we get into season more, he's just ripped. He's a big dog and he needs to be worked. So I went from not hunting at all to starting to hunt a little bit with my buddy up in Northern California, and then hunting a little bit here in Southern California during the winter. And then it really turned, interestingly enough, when did the Chargers leave San Diego? Like 3 years ago?
Yeah.
So 3 years ago, the Chargers left San Diego, and my dad, who I fished with my entire life, and he was like pretty heartbroken about the Chargers leaving. Like season tickets for over 35 years.
Yeah.
And for me, I had already mentally like broken away from them. I kind of stopped following pro football, I don't know, like 6-7 years ago.
When you started fishing.
No,
I'm just
gosh, no. No, we would spend our time at the Charger games all day, like as a family. Me, my dad, my brother. My mom and sister didn't go as much, but we would always go to Charger games. So when the Chargers left San Diego, my dad had all the free time in the world in the fall and winter, and that's kind of when the saltwater tapers off, and he's big into saltwater. So a lot of the current saltwater fishing that I'm doing is with him.
Okay.
So last year we both got our PBs, I think on the same day or a day apart. We were together.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's cool to see him because we grew up live bait fishermen. And for me, I always wanted I wanted different. I didn't want to sit off the back of the boat and fish. So they'd be catching fish on the back of the boat, and I'm out on the front throwing whatever I could at the time. And so it's really neat. Obviously, he taught me how to do all that stuff. And now it's kind of like the learning curve of transitioning, because he was never a freshwater fisherman. It's not his style.
Yeah.
So now it's getting him to learn how to use those same techniques. So same casting reels, same rods that we're using, baits. He loves his favorite bait is the 190, the Lucky Craft.
I love that bait too.
He's like, he smokes him on that thing.
All sizes. What makes it really cool for you though to see your dad kind of like what you're liking, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, the bonding experience is probably amazing.
Oh, and like I I'm getting ready and looking forward to. We got some big plans this fall and winter. The calico thing didn't really go our way this summer for whatever reason. The water conditions were really down by us. Were really up and down.
Okay.
The temps were constantly changing, so we could never get on that consistent pattern that we found last year. But so he had all the free time in the world now in the fall and winter. So he went from never really hunting to then the two of us kind of learning how to hunt together. I've got a buddy, I mentioned him a little bit earlier, up in Northern California, teaches me all this stuff. So in the meantime, I'll go up there and spend a weekend with him, come back. And it is learning together, but also teaching him. Cause I'm so green when it comes to the hunting side, but, really looking forward to a cool trip coming up, like September 20th.
And you guys do that down in San Diego?
There's nothing. Well, you can't really do any hunting in San Diego, but we go out east to like out right off the Salton Sea. There's some spots out there. So we have a little club that we go to. Got a trailer, got the dog, got this little mini truck that's like fully kitted. It's got gun racks on the side. Oh, and that's another cool thing I brought in. Japanese mini truck. It's a right-hand drive Suzuki Carry. It's a 3-cylinder.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's cool. We have a really good time out there.
Yeah.
So, but times that we used to spend together at Charger games, we're now spending together in the duck blind or in the dove field, whatever it might be.
Cooking. Bring your own cooking, right?
Oh man, he's a killer chef.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I suck, but he's really good. Like he cans his own tuna.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's unbelievable. Like it looks really gross. It's in one of those clear mason jars.
Yeah, I've seen it.
It looks so disgusting.
But it's delicious.
Oh, it's the best. Like I don't eat tuna out. I don't eat fish out. Like you go to my parents' house,
everything.
The freezer is stocked year round with.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now those guys are out chasing yellowfin and they got a big bluefin a couple of weeks ago, 236, I think.
That's
yeah,
big.
Good one. So
great.
Not his biggest, but good. His biggest last year, I think, was 256.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd love to catch something like that. So
maybe you will soon, man. I'm stoked for you. I really hope you get him tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Let's break these baits down.
Yeah.
So we can go through just quickly like who makes each bait, and I'll get a video of it, and then kind of break down the collaborations.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the closest one to you. It's the toxic baits.
You could hold them up if you want. That way
cool.
I can kind of.
So this is actually the first one we did, and just happened to pick it up. Caesar is actually a good friend from Toxic Baits. I was just recently up there. We did our first booth, which was really cool. This is his Wade Hogs, killer bluegill bait, and it doesn't have hooks or it doesn't have tail because this is one of the baits that we sold first. I didn't even keep one for myself.
Really?
Nope. Because I have a couple. This was
one of your first collaborations then?
This was the first.
The very first
one, yeah. And he did this color specifically for us. And at the time, I didn't really think that it was going to be anything. And then started talking to the team, and then it just kind of kept going into the next one and to the next one. But the Wade Hogs, and he calls this color Delta Grape, was the first. Luckily, I was able to hit him up after that, and up at Toxic Day, he gave me this one, so I haven't had time to put the tail and hooks in there. But nice crank down or a waker.
Yeah.
And he builds them all by hand. Pretty, good bluegill.
Yeah, it looks great.
Pattern. Yeah. Gets bit too. I've caught some great fish on it. I haven't fished that particular one in saltwater, but the gill bait profile just gets bit, and that's got that nice fat body, so it's really buoyant.
Yeah.
So whether you're cranking it or waking it does a little bit of both. Next one up is the UFO build gill. This was one of our more recent baits. Local guy also, Southern California, and a little bit different than everything else you see. Super narrow profile, big joint. It was a 3-piece bait with the lip. This is strictly a waker. Mm-hmm. But it's got a really good subtle wake, and this one hasn't been fished, but one that I have has been fished, and you kind of tweak the tail a little bit and you can hear like the squeaky joint.
Okay.
These baits that you see here on the table don't get fished. In my opinion, the baits that get bit more are the baits that get fished more.
Yeah.
Everything just gets broken in.
Yeah.
And then you get your confidence in it, and you know it's the right bait at the right time. But
this can you get any of these still?
No,
Nothing.
none of them.
How quick are they do you usually sell out?
This one was less than 2 minutes, I think. The Wade Hogs was probably.
And that one was called what again?
UFO.
UFO. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they local?
San Diego.
San Diego. Okay.
Yeah. And so they're local guys. They were actually up at Toxic Day too, so it was good to connect. And he's close by the shop, so I can kind of connect every once in a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, they the when it comes down to like the quantities of each of these baits, it's really hard for these garage builders to keep up with demand.
I couldn't imagine building 20 of those.
Like 20 of them, and not just that, but the paint and everything else that goes into it.
Dude.
And like it's to the point where we started the first one we did with Caesar. I was like, yeah, let's do 20. Okay, that's great. We've gotten to the point now where I'm asking any of them to do 50 just because we feel bad that we can't get more into the hands of the people that.
So
that
then,
get 'em.
yeah. So then it takes a couple of months for them to even get that going. Sometimes, right?
Yeah, like we're at the beginning of this year. I put out a calendar with general ideas of when we want baits, and we've hit most of them this year. But like this next one, I know the guy's been working on them. He's going to do 50. He's been working on them for 2 months. He's not a full-time bait maker.
Yeah, no.
So that's where it gets a little tricky. You know, these guys have families, and I think that's one of the things that's for me most frustrating about the bait game in general.
Yeah.
If you got to talk to some of these guys that are making these baits and you see what they're putting into it and the amount of time that it takes them, like as a society, we've become so entitled to certain things. Like let's say there's only 50 of them. If you don't get one, well, try again on the next round.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be yelling at some guy or that's kind of the stuff. It's tough. If we could get 200 of them and he could snap his fingers and get 200 baits.
Oh, of course he's going to make them.
But then person 201 is still going to want one.
Yeah.
So, so that's kind of like the ups and downs of these baits.
Yeah.
But it's really neat for us to be able to work with all the bait makers from United States and Japan and be able to sell a product that we used and that we believe in.
Okay.
Like we've used these baits, versions of these. They've been tested. The colors have been talked about. It's not like we're just saying, oh yeah, let's put that one out there next. That's not how it goes.
No, you're like doing your homework on it.
Catching fish. Like we're working on baits right now for this fall and spring.
Okay.
There's things in the pipeline that we have coming that we're currently testing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Because at the end of the day, like we don't want somebody spending their hard-earned money on something that's not going to get bit.
Yeah.
Or that's not high quality. Like the things that we're putting out, what you see here are the cream of the crop.
Yeah. Definitely.
So the next one you see is the Toxic Baits. This is his Wake and Crank. And I jacked the tail up in the packaging, but same color, Delta Grape. This was one that we did with Caesar. I don't remember how many we did on this run, but the Wake and Crank is exactly what it says. It's a wake or a crank down. Caesar's based out of the Delta, so a lot of muddy water, a lot of weed lines and stuff. So a crank down there is something in that, 6 to 12 inch range will get down.
Yeah.
You're just kind of, it's kind of like fishing kelp, you know how it goes. You're just looking for that kelp edge, looking for something that's out there and active.
Exactly.
It's not like we're deep diving a crankbait or anything like that. But super versatile bait, well built, and good dude. He was down here recently out on the boat fishing, fishing calicos and yellowtail, and they got some tuna, so good stuff. Next one is this was actually our first Japanese bait, and it's the DRT Clash 9. Oh, excuse me. The first one was actually the Tiny Clash.
Okay.
But the Clash 9 is your 9-inch bait. It's got a removable lip, removable tail. This is our patented golden shiner color. This is a color.
Is that a wrap?
This is not a wrap. This is a process that they do in Japan.
No way.
Yeah. So I found this image. We tested it. We had different versions of it come back. And this is what we ended up going with. So there's going to be more of these. And that's where you can see the same thing in the Tiny Clash here. There's going to be more of these in the future. And it's kind of become our signature color, if you will. Golden shiner across the board. The nice thing for the freshwater guys is that it's super versatile. So it can look like something back east, look at something out here, not trout fed only.
Yeah.
But it's it's a rad color, and this is actually the prototype of this bait is what I caught my PB on.
Okay.
Can fish it a bunch of different ways. Just comes down to how much time you want to spend on it, and more importantly, like what's biting and what's going on. Next up, the 86. This is a multi-piece bait, 4 pieces, and Matt's also local. He lives up in Temecula.
Who's that? Who makes it?
86 Baits.
86 Baits.
Yeah, Matt Hom is his name.
Okay.
And this is a floater. We did brighter colored fins for the floater, but this is a 4-piece floater and just really moves in the water easily. So with this particular bait, just like to cast it out on a point and like engage the reel, and then just like not even reel, just let the bait kind of do its own thing, and pretty successful with that. So this is his version of the golden shiner.
Okay.
And this one, none of these lasted longer than 10 minutes, especially when it comes to like the US garage bait. So like he's a guy that came up through the forums.
So you kind of got to see his bait transform.
Yep. And Caesar was on the forums as well.
Cool.
So that's actually how we met before he was making baits full time, and pretty neat. The next one we've got is the Rego Roach. This was the US color, single piece rat. Most rats are 2 pieces. This particular one has a real subtle. I really like this bait on calm nights.
Okay.
Doesn't do much. If it's choppy, it's not the right bait, but it's just super subtle and single hook. It's a rad little bait. We actually did a different version of it for Japan. So this was the US version, and the red one was the Japanese one. So we took to Keep Cast. We did 100 of these, 50 each day. They sold out quick, and that color and this bait will never be done again. And that's how a lot of these things are. Unless we do it again with them, it won't be done in that combination. But yeah, traditional white belly, red bait. It's tough to beat.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Yeah.
Looking thing, like a carving too.
And Rego is like one of the original swim bait guys.
Yeah.
Jerry Rego has been around for as long as almost swim baits in general. And it's really neat for us to be able to work with somebody who's been in the industry as long as we have, to have that level of respect for him.
Yeah.
Next up, we've got the DRT Tiny Clash in Golden Shiner. This was actually the first JDM bait that we did. Same pattern as the K9. These baits are versatile, tough to beat when it comes to summer months. Like this bait's going to get bit anything. And this is actually what I caught my fish on in Japan at Biwa.
It's a good just all around in the summertime.
Yep. Summertime or smaller fish. Like you're testing out new water. You can cover water quick with it. You're just looking for that reaction type strike. And super versatile baits across the board. This one is one that we actually didn't sell. This is the OD Rat in a chameleon paint that we did. This was done as a gift for a lot of the guys that we saw back in Japan. Okay. So OD Rat was originally started by Whit Curry, and he recently sold it to...
Sorry.
Some,
it got you. Thought a rat was going to really get you in the back.
Yeah, exactly. You're holding the rat and something comes over your shoulder. So yeah, originally by Whit and recently sold. Yeah, so the gentleman that took it over has an automotive background, so he's familiar with working with this chameleon paint for cars, and it's been, I think there was maybe 6 made. Most live in Japan now. With,
and he carved it too.
So Whit Curry carved this bait, and then he sold it to Mario. So this bait was, one of 6 that we didn't actually sell. We might do something with Mario over at OD at some point, but it definitely won't be in that color. Yeah. It was just really cool to be able to give something to the guys in Japan that took such good care of us. Give them something that, that means a lot from us and something super unique. The next one up is the Monka crawler. It's a 1-piece crawler bait, and crawlers are pretty popular in Japan right now.
This is the one you talked about earlier, right?
Yeah, the one where I was talking about the topwater explosion. It's like nothing I've seen in fishing. When they come up and hit this thing, it's like they want it out of the water. They don't want any part of it. So this particular one's 1 piece. You got the prop, you got the wings. and Monka is a Japanese bait maker. Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah. Cool bait.
Totally different too. Like
Different.
yeah.
And they get bit.
Yeah.
Like, there's I think the last one we did was a 2-piece, which I don't know where that is. Might have to find it. There's a 2-piece version of it, and a guy in Canada won one. And we gave one away on our Instagram, which we do a lot, by the way. Usually with any of these baits, but after we sell them out, we give one away.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Just in the various ways that we do it. Somebody's usually getting one. But the guy from Canada caught a fish on it real quick, and it was early in the season. I was not expecting him to get one on it. Yeah, topwater that cold. Next up is the Sly Guy bluegill. I want to say it's 7 1/4, and it's a glide. This particular one is the color that we did. This was from the first batch. We've done 2 batches with Clayton. He actually was part of the forums from before too.
Okay.
So kind of seen his baits really evolve, and incredible paint, as you can see on this one.
Yeah, dude.
The bluegill is second to none.
You fished this one before?
Not this particular bait, but yes, I do have an extra slow sink that I have fished, and the last run we did with him, we did some extra slow sink and some floaters, just trying to do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
But this particular one, he sent me a bunch of different actual pictures of bluegill and picked one out, and this is the one we went with, and yeah, it's so dialed in.
Yeah.
It's an incredible paint job across the board. Clayton's a super talented guy.
Yeah.
And next up, we have 2 baits that haven't been released, but we may do down the road. This is a giant crawler from the same company of Monka. Yeah, so this one's huge, and this one I haven't fished at all. I don't know if I want to put hooks on it just because it's so cool, and it just stands out. But, check out the detail, even down into the eye. Like, you've got our logo in the eye, super dialed in stuff. And for those of you that are listening and not watching, the bait is probably 10 inches, 11 inches.
Yeah.
Right about 9-10 inches. It's got a big profile, and it's got giant wings and a ton of hardware. It's not natural in any way, shape, or form, like I was talking about earlier, if you're looking for that PV. But if you're looking for that reaction strike, this is going to be it for you. It's pretty unique for sure. Yeah. And I don't think there's many of these in the U.S. at all, maybe like a handful.
Yeah.
Next up is another Monka bait that we're looking at potentially doing. It's kind of your traditional topwater bait, similar to a punker, I would say, at least from what I can tell. Haven't fished this one yet either, because it just hasn't been the time of the year, but same thing, detail in the eye, you got the logo. So we're going to be talking to the guys over at Monka to see if we can't get a few of these. We tried to get them earlier this summer to get a few samples so we could fish and kind of go to market with it, but they're not quite ready. I think they're actually tweaking a few things on it. So this one kind of has got like that shark profile in the front.
That's cool, dude.
They're tweaking a few things and going to make some changes.
Awesome.
We'll see what's next with that one. Another crawler bait, so you can kind of see that's the trend in Japan. This is the Battle Wing from, I don't know how to pronounce it. It looks like Kuroto to me, but not exactly sure. So this was actually the first wing bait that we did, I believe. 2-piece, good solid knock, and it's incredible paint job on this one. You got our logos. And again, fish catcher.
So crazy, dude.
Yeah, so these baits, a friend introduced me to them a while ago, and we've caught fish on them. And I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, we're looking to do something, and would you be open to it? And he said, absolutely. So it's really neat when you have the ability to talk to the guys that are actually making it and maybe make some subtle changes or some suggestions on as far as the paint goes.
Yeah.
To fit the U.S. market, because the U.S. and Japanese markets are 2 totally different places.
Yeah.
But the craftsmanship, like all these baits,
amazing. Yeah.
Everything that we sell is really dialed in.
Yeah.
It's high-end baits, quality components. Like, we're not putting any junk out.
And you're doing limited release stuff. So it's
limited, yeah. And like I said earlier, if we had the ability to do more, we would.
Yeah.
This was our most recent one.
Oh, I didn't get them to get that. Sorry, camera. That's awesome too. The tail's crazy.
Yeah, so this is another Rago bait. This is what we're calling the D3. It's a 3-piece. It's based off his original top trout. Mm-hmm. It's got a little bit of a different bill, diamond bill for helps with the if you're fishing it all day, because it's got two line ties. So the nose line tie is going to let you crank it down. And if you're fishing a big bait like this with a huge lip and you're cranking it down all day, the resistance, it just puts pressure on the body and it becomes tiring. Mm-hmm. So the diamond bill still gets that same crank down effect, but not nearly as much resistance, and it doesn't put the pressure on your body. It also kind of gives it a different seeking or hunting action when it's underwater.
Okay.
So this bait's it's a cool bait. I actually caught a fish. I think I was one of the first to catch a fish on it here in the States. A couple weeks ago, caught a little guy on it up at a local lake. It was topwater. I was fishing the wake line tie, not the crank down. It was cool. I think it's going to do very well when it comes to fall here. A lot of guys back east really like the crank down stuff, and their big fish season's coming up here September, October. As their weather changes, the fish kind of start to move and get bigger. So this bait, you're going to see a lot of things from it here from the guys that have it. This color was called the dirt bag. I think we did like more of a this is more like a shiner-ish, and we did like a silver shad color as well.
Yeah.
You'll see more from this bait in the future. Some other cool stuff that's coming. So that's it for the baits, I think. I hope I didn't forget any of them. But again, all baits that we've fished, we've tested, we believe in, and it's not just one person, in one location. We've got guys all over the States fishing them. It's like it's really cool. So like we're back in Japan, and guy, our translator actually wanted one of these Sly guys, and I'm like, I can't get you one right now, but like next time we do a run, I'll get it for you.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I as a thank you, because he was huge. Like I sent him one, and he recently got it, and he hasn't fished it yet. I think he just got it last week, but. It's kind of cool to see things from somebody's garage and up and near the Delta going over to a guy in Japan.
Right.
And at the end, still chasing the same green bass that we all are.
Yeah, and it's cool to promote all these guys because they're all working hard to make,
totally
quality lures,
man. Yep, they're all there to make quality lures, and we're doing things with other like brands, and by no means just because we haven't worked them does that mean they're
exactly.
It just, for whatever reason, our timing, their timing, or production levels, whatever it might be, it just hasn't worked out. But when it comes to these things, like this really kind of baits kind of drive the swim bait world. And that's how I found the forum initially, was like looking for a specific glide bait. I was looking for one back in the day. Not a glide bait, a bluegill bait. And that's how I stumbled into Nation way back when. And it's kind of one of the biggest commodities that are out there as far as the big bait world goes.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
Those baits are amazing.
They're really cool, they're all pieces of pieces of art, every single one of them. Each one of these bait makers is so talented in their own way. Like there's no way I could do anything on their level or even close. Like that's the cool part about it, working with, like we kind of chuckled about certain things earlier, but these guys are all artists.
Yeah.
In their own way, and like really, really cool. Not only to make art, but functional art.
Yeah.
Things that float, swim, they do what they want them to do, and they catch fish.
Yeah, really. Do you have any plans for the future? Like anything, events coming up, ideas, tournaments, like anything actually in the works yet?
Yeah, we're always working on new stuff. That's the name of the game, is just trying to stay ahead of the curve when it comes to the things that we're doing. I know this might be coming out around the time of the Lateral Vision show.
Yeah.
Nick's a good friend and asked that we come up. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it up personally, and the crew just couldn't put it together, so we're not going to be able to be there. But that would have been a rad show to go to. Those are good dudes, and I think it's going to be anytime that anybody in the community can get together, I think it's incredibly important for us to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So there's that. We've got Japan coming again in March. I'm starting to put those plans together. There's a good chance we might be doing a Canada trip next year.
Wow.
Yeah, for some smallie fishing.
That'd be cool.
There's a group of guys up there that we're trying to get something working, and I think that's it for the trip side of things. Obviously, continue to keep an eye out for our next collaboration or next big release. We've got some stuff coming out here soon. Let me think. Holiday season's coming. We'll have some new stuff, of course. Keep an eye out on the website, swimbaitunderground.com. That's kind of like what we've been trying to do is anytime we do any of these baits or we try to do anything exclusive, we try to give the forum members first crack at it. So we'll do like a little pre-sale or
and you usually put up something on Instagram that says a date, go to the website. Right. And I think that's cool.
Yeah. So we kind of use them both social and the forum to kind of help each other and complement. So tournament dates or code or any of that stuff is shared on both, but really try to give the guys on the forum a more of a heads up when it comes to certain things. So like one of the baits, they might get a half an hour heads up, like, hey, here they are. So we'll post it. You can buy it right there before it goes live, which is a nice thing, just to kind of say thanks. Yeah. And more than anything, just keep stuff consistent there on because that's what we started out as, you know, as a spot to share and learn about swim bait fishing. So, anything that we're doing will be announced on the forum, social media. We've got some cool projects coming up too.
Cool.
A lot of new things in the works, and more than anything, just trying to keep it different, but at the same time, continue to keep putting out a product that we believe in, that we use. So fishing, spending time on the water, doing whatever we can to learn, and just continue to grow.
Awesome. So where can they reach you? Just on Instagram, Swimbaitunderground?
Yeah.
Best place to go?
So it depends what you're looking for. Like if you want information, Instagram at Swimbaitunderground is the best. If you need like to contact or message, it's not usually the best because our inbox is continuously filled with people tagging or messaging, things like that. If you have actual questions that you need answered in a timely manner, I would recommend going to swimbaitunderground.com or shop.swimbaitunderground.com. All the contact information's there, how you can contact us through the email. The most general one is sales@swimbaitunderground.com. That's how you're going to get your quickest answers. But yeah, we're always available on all those platforms. It's just there's a ton to manage with them. So if we don't get right back to you, or if we don't have the ability to, hold an extra bait or do different things for you, I apologize. Again, I wish I could have one for everybody.
Yeah. Well, thanks again for coming on, dude. Appreciate you driving up here. Check out Swim Bait Underground. It's something that we really support too. I mean, they're doing something cool for the community. So check them out, support them, and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Right on. Thanks a lot. And thank you again for what you do, man. This has been great. I've listened to almost every episode. I need to catch up on a couple on the way down, and it's really a neat thing that you're doing.
Thanks, man.
Yep.